preparing this report, I'd like to thank the Finance Department. Don Palmer's not here, but we went back through a lot of budget numbers, and he helped put a lot of numbers together for me and assisted me with this. So thanks, Don. So this is our third year of doing this report. I started doing the report in 2010, 11, and 12. The Moscow Farmers Market was 35 years old this summer and will be 36 this next season. Some of the partnerships that we have with the market. I'd like to recognize New St. Andrews College for their restroom facilities and respite area. The Moscow Chamber of Commerce was very helpful this summer with the move to Main Street and communicating with businesses. Gritman Medical Center has hosted events at the market, as well as the University of Idaho Extension, Latah County. And then kudos to the Moscow Pullman Daily News. They always feature our musicians for the week and run articles throughout the summer regarding the market. And then we had Inland Northwest Broadcasting doing some promotion for the market this summer. And then I'd like to give a thanks to the downtown Moscow businesses for the change this summer with moving to Main Street, and also the volunteerism with the Moscow Arts Commission, and then the Palouse Clearwater Environmental Institute for their bike-a-thon, and also Park and Rec with their Palouse Prize Ride. So some of the special events, quite a bit within the market. We pay 28 musicians to perform, and then we also have an extended music period now going till 1 o'clock. And those musicians are not paid. They just ask for donations for their work. We had the Palouse Mini Cheer Camp with the local gymnastics. Festival of Dance performed 3 events at the market with their kids' performances. We enrolled again in the Vote for the Favorite Farmers Market, and again, we were #1 in the state of Idaho for the 2nd year in a row. The Paradise Path Task Force participated in the market, as well as Tree Commission. We held a cultural cafe on public art with the Moscow Arts Commission, and we had the first annual Moscow Farmers Market poster contest and distributed 500 posters. Again, the bike rally was a very large success. We also had the Moscow Arts Commission put together a community performing arts day at the market, and the Palouse Pride Ride again with Moscow Park and Rec. And U of I Extension, Latah County, had nutritionists at the market, also their master gardeners. We celebrated Food Day in Idaho in October, and we had the Latah County Human Rights Day at the market, Worldwide Knit and Public Day, Idaho Fish and Game, and the food bank. We collected a value of $1,115 in donations, 4 truckloads of food, and the recipients were the food banks were Moscow Food Bank, Trinity Food Bank, Pantry, Sojourners Alliance, and the Troy Food Bank. And then this year we had Bull Country 99.5 at the market as well. So these are numbers. I just put this slide back in from the 2011 Rapid Market Assessment. This was coordinated by the Latah County University of Idaho Extension, and this was with monies with our Farmers Market Promotion Grant through the USDA. So they estimated 5,329 shoppers at the market. The average price or spending was 23% will spend about $20 at the market. That equates to about $53,000 in sales per day. And then these were the entrances when we were in the parking lot. Most people entered through Main Street, Jackson Street, the alley. 48% of the shoppers were from Moscow. 24% were from Pullman and Whitman County. 68% of the shoppers' primary reason to come to market was agricultural products. 16% recognized their primary reason as socializing. 66% of the shoppers plan to spend additional money in the downtown area, and they equated the average additional spending at $13 times 264 shoppers equals an additional $34,000. And this was coordinated through Cinda Williams with the Latah County U of I Extension.
And this is in one day.
One day, when we did our rapid market assessment.
And I think Dan's question had to do with the numbers in here represent one day, or some of these are annual numbers?
No, one day. This was their formula for one day. So these rapid market assessments are done in all markets. Boise Market does this, Spokane, Coeur d'Alene. The formula was actually put together through the Oregon State Extension, and they've assisted us with this. So, yep.
Looks like Walter has a question. Go ahead.
Do you have the numbers from other markets in the state and how these numbers might compare to other markets? Have you looked at that?
We could get that.
They may not be comparable. I mean, on the other hand, it might be interesting to see if some of the possibly similar size markets are doing better or worse.
I know that Boise's done rapid market assessment, and I think that Coeur d'Alene has. So I could look at those numbers.
So the per person type numbers and all would be interesting.
Sure. Trying to find that. Some of the improvements we did for 2012, of course, securing the USDA RBUG grant to do strategic planning for the Moscow Farmers Market. Aaron Zaretsky will be back this week, and there'll be a public meeting at 6:30 at the 1912 Center. We also brought in a storage container for all the equipment. I bought additional yard signs. We had a Work First employee provided by the Department of Labor for about a month. We had developed a walk-on application packet. This was the first year that our policy and procedures were reviewed by the Moscow Legal Department. And then we added the Manage My Market software system to the market, and we enforced the restricted area for animals in the market. The wireless EBT machine was a big addition for the market because we canceled the phone line that we had been using for the hardwired equipment, and it became wireless. And then we did the relocation survey, which was a big part of administration's work to compile all the comment cards for the move to Main Street. And again, we're the #1 farmers market in the state of Idaho for the second year in a row. So this is some of the EBT numbers that Backyard Harvest supplied from 2010, 11, and then 12. And the numbers were down a little bit in 12. We did collect over 1,228 pounds of produce at the market. At the end of the market, farmers and produce vendors in the market donate to the food bank, and Backyard Harvest collects that. So the total EBT sales for 2012 was $6,212.
Madam Mayor?
Yep.
Yes, Walter.
Kathleen, any guess as to why it dropped off in 12?
Well, I think there was some confusion with moving to Main Street, and there was a second mailing that's normally done in October when the students get back, and that mailing didn't happen this year. So that outreach got missed. So that might have been some of it.
And October is one of your drop-off months.
Yep.
It's about not quite half, yeah. Okay.
Yep. So the total fees we collected for the market is broken down accordingly by the walk-on and seasoned vendors. And these are fees that we collect for booth spaces for seasoned vendors, walk-on vendors, truck spaces, children's spaces, performance, and that totaled $27,274.83. So we attempt to do gross sales receipts at the market. We try to do weekly quarter-page receipts, and then this year we also sent the market, the seasoned vendors, a yearly report at the end of the market, and we still missed a lot of the sales report. And I think that was the confusion with moving to Main Street and just following through with a lot of daily sales checks and reports. So we were down on our reporting, and it's estimated we had 28% of our seasoned vendors submitting reports, and then we missed a lot of the walk-on sales, and that's not mandatory that the walk-ons report their sales. So I'll share that with you. And then I went into market fee comparisons. How do we compare to other markets in the state? Boise has a tier system. Their lowest priced vendor is, of course, produce. Second to that is prepared food. And then their highest paid vendor is what they call a high stall vendor. They let their restaurants and higher level businesses be in the market as well. So they charge them accordingly for a seasoned vendor fee. And then we have Coeur d'Alene's fees compared to Moscow Farmers Market. And then I showed Pullman, and then also the Tuesday Growers Market at the food co-op. So the way these fees break down for an average 26-week market, I kind of broke it down as some of these fees are 2011. Coeur d'Alene's was 12. We're number 13 fees. Pullman was 12, and then the Moscow Food Co-op was 12. And that's what was available at the time for this report. And you can see the sizes of the spaces and how they are different between different markets. Also the hours of the market. Some markets are 4 hours. Some markets are 4.5. We're 5 hours. The Pullman market is 2.5, and the Moscow Food Co-op is 2 hours. And then you can see to the far right the basis of how they break down those fees. In Boise, you have to pay a $100 membership to be involved in the Boise Farmers Market. The Coeur d'Alene market has 2-tier fee structures. They have a working membership for people that want to volunteer for setup and tear down and collection of garbage and different things. And then they have a non-volunteer working rate. So that's kind of how they break down their fees in comparison to our fee for 13. So this is the final recap of the market and some of our expenses, starting at the top, the revenue. Our staffing expenses, that's myself included with the help of Mr. Palmer. And also DJ, my arts assistant. And then we have our coordinated farmers market coordinator is in that price. And then also our sound technician for the market. And then we have a line item for program expenses. This includes booking all the music. The music alone is close to $4,000, and then equipment supplies and various contracts. And a question was asked, who do we contract with? Well, we contract $1,500 with Backyard Harvest to facilitate food stamps at the market. So those combined come to $60,000, and then you deduct the revenue. And then I went in and asked different departments in the city what their costs were incurred for the farmers market. And the police was a little higher this year just because of animal control. But they also tow cars and ticket for parking issues related to the market. The water department works on pump systems for our hand washing stations and our gray water dump station, and then also the drinking fountains. Engineering supplies a lot of blueprinting for the market, layouts of booth spaces, mapping downtown, directionals, any oversized flyers that we do with engineering. Administration helped us out with hold harmless notary for all the vendors and all the walk-on vendors, and then also preparing the report for the move to Main Street. And Park and Recreation, that's $1,634. That's our garbage. That's pretty much garbage container drop-off and pickup for 26 weeks. And then the street department had a large increase this year because of closing Main Street and figuring out how to close Main Street safely to code. So their fees were, their expenses were pretty high. And then the fire department does all of our inspection for tent weights and also for fire extinguishers for all the food. And I don't suspect that the street department or the police department will be that high in fees in 13 season because we'll have figured out how to close Main Street
Okay, looks like
in a
Wayne
more
has,
efficient way.
excuse me, Kathleen, I think Wayne
Yep.
has a question there.
Kathleen, did you have any idea how much your expenses might be reduced next year? You don't think they're going to be as much as they were this year, so do you have an idea?
Well, I would say the street department would be more than half. I mean, just because we're working on how we can self-close the street.
Okay.
And we won't be relying on those personnel. We haven't figured that out yet, but we'll be ordering some barricades some bollards that'll be specific to closing Main Street. And we'll have to redirect traffic, and we're figuring that out as well. So I don't think we'll be using the street department staff as much this next summer.
Looks like Walter has a question for you, too.
It was similar to that one. I thought I remembered, and Gary may help me here, Tyler Palmer, when we were talking about temporarily having moved to Main Street and then started discussing whether or not we wanted to move it to Main Street permanently. I think I remember a comment from Tyler that it was expensive because it was totally new, different. They were winging it, if you will. But once it settled down, he didn't expect it would be that bad or that much more than what they had been having the previous year. Do I remember that correctly, Gary?
Yeah, if I may, he indicated that as the summer went on, it cost less per time because people were getting used to what was doing, and they were moving, changing configurations somewhat. The issue that I think Kathleen's talking about is there's an opportunity to put some or permanent, if you will, bollards that you can put up at the end of Main Street, which will prevent them from having to bring in sawhorses, bring a crew in, and that traffic control can be set up separately. So it should be less cost in man hours. Be a little bit of capital involved, but it'll be less cost in man hours.
Thank you.
Sue?
Oh, along the same lines, I think you said in part of the administration was doing the surveys, and that won't be happening again next year, all that, because that saw you running around like a chicken.
Yeah, that was a lot of work with Jen Piffner's help.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll be producing that report. We'll still be taking comment cards. We always take comment cards at the city tent. But we won't be doing that volume of work that we were tasked to do to survey the public and compile all that material. Yeah.
Tom has a question for you, too.
Yeah, so even if we could eliminate all of the expenses of all these departments, there's still,
Even if we could.
and that's a big if.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, it's not possible, but if we did, there'd still be an imbalance of,
Shortfall.
right, a shortfall of 33. But do you expect that to be less next year because of less work needed by the arts department, or do you feel like you're going to keep maintaining that same level for next year?
I think our service delivery will probably maintain at the same level. The difference will be having more time with the arts assistant, having more hours. Some of that,
Okay.
yeah. Like, for example, the music, the call for all the music contracts goes out this week. So we'll be contracting 26 to 28 weeks worth of musicians. That starts this week, January 7th week, to put the schedule together for the summer. So,
Walter has one more?
Walter.
Okay.
Maybe not a question, but a comment. The indirect costs that Tom circled with his pen, I think the first time down there, the $21,454 in this case, some of those costs will occur whether or not those departments are working with the market. I believe, Gary, because I don't think we're putting on extra street staff. Was this done under overtime or regular time, or do you remember? Are these? I appreciate accounting for it. I understand we need to account for it, but if the market went away, some of those costs would still be in the city anyway, because Jen Piffner, Laurie Lewis would still have jobs, still be paid full-time, et cetera. They just wouldn't be doing this particular work.
Exactly. I mean, the street department wouldn't be out on Saturday moving
Yeah.
barricades, so that cost would go away.
Right.
Certainly, Lori has a full-time job, I have a full-time job, Jen has a full-time job, but we're not doing other things that we would otherwise be
Right.
doing if we weren't doing this.
Yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't account for it and understand what the costs are. I understand that.
Like the fountain would still be maintained,
yes.
those things.
Okay.